distant future. After chemical wars hit the Earth, most of the population disappeared. What's left are the lucky ones, those lucky enough to get a place in safe bunkers. The only thing that binds the residents together is the computer in their abode. Darwin is one of the lucky ones. Every morning the guy checks his mother's status, but the computer again reports that she is asleep. The guy's whole life is spent in a chair, and only occasionally does he struggle to get up to take an ultrasound shower. He spends the rest of his time at the computer, remotely doing work on extracting minerals from the surface of the Earth that are used to build other, more advanced bunkers. During his short break, Darwin chooses lunch, which the computer delivers to him through a special window. While he waits, a news release reminds him that the surface of the Earth is still very life-threatening and it is forbidden to leave the bunker. The prisoner's only entertainment is computer games, which he can play for a couple of hours before bedtime. But all this is not enough for him to feel happy. In his dreams, Darwin sees over and over again how his mother leaves him in the bunker and leaves. She promised him that sooner or later he would figure it out, but so far it hasn't happened. Day after day nothing changes, but one day while driving a tractor, Darwin hears a familiar sound. Turning the camera around, the guy sees a dog not far from the tractor that someone is dragging into the bushes. The virtual warden doesn't let the worker think, demanding that he resume work. Waking up in the night from a thunderstorm, Darwin sees that his bunker is down due to power problems. He presses the emergency button, but nothing happens. 2 days later, the guy gets worse, his computer doesn't work and his oxygen levels keep dropping. Realizing that he has nothing to lose and no help is coming, Darwin puts on a respirator and presses the door open button, but that button doesn't work either. The guy manually lifts the door and prepares to see a world stricken by chemical disaster. Carefully getting out of the bunker, he manages to get not far away. The respirator shows a drop in the level of pure oxygen and Darwin has to go back. The door doesn't lock and the guy begins to panic. He takes off his mask, preparing to die, but after a couple of minutes it becomes clear that he can breathe air without any purifiers. Taking some things out of the box, Darwin goes out, hoping to find his mother, who he thinks has been out there somewhere for a long time. Every step is hard for him, because for the past 9 years he hasn't walked more than 3 meters. He is afraid of everything, even the birds that fly up next to him, but despite this, Darwin continues to walk forward, hoping to change his life. Upon reaching the machine, Darwin tries to signal, but his balance is zero and the operation fails. The guy's legs have become completely weak over the years, but he doesn't give up and keeps going sector by sector. Several days pass like this, but the bright sun and a lack of food and water take their toll and hope begins to fade. Suddenly, in the distance, the boy hears the familiar barking of a dog. This gives Darwin new strength and he reaches the green forest, which once again confirms his guess that there is no poison on the ground. His strength finally leaves him, and he falls asleep right there in the woods. In the morning, he opens his eyes from the clouds of mosquitoes that surround him and from the barking of the dog that he has always heard. Next to the dog, the boy sees her owner, a young girl named Dara, who is afraid to approach a stranger. Darwin cannot answer her because he has lost the ability to speak over the years, but he tries to catch up with the girl, hoping for help. Noticing that the boy is following her, the girl sounds an alarm, which reaches her camp, the place where several other people who escaped life in the bunker live. The older woman sends her children to the shelter, and she herself prepares to meet a guest. She reassures Dara, realizing that this is not the warder and that he is probably just as scared as they are. Darwin doesn't come close to the group, but he accepts the food they leave for him on the ground. But each time Lillian, the camp hostess, puts the bowl closer and closer to the table, Darwin gets closer. Finally, Lillian tells the boy about her home. Darwin understands everything, but he can't respond with words, used to communicating only through computers. The boy agrees to stay the night at the camp, but he gestures for Lillian to take the mattress outside. Even though he feels good among living people, Darwin promises himself that this is a temporary stop and he will continue to look for his mother. Soon Darwin is seated at the table with the others, and for the first time in his life he tastes tea. Lillian asks her guest to answer some of her questions, and to make it easier for the guy, Stephen puts his hands on Darwin's and asks him to pretend to type so he can read his answers. Darwin watches in silence for hours on end. When Dara offers to put sunscreen on him and shows him how, the guy gets a little scared, but he immediately becomes very calm and no longer pulls away from the girl. The guy decides to ask Lillian's family about his mother, but no one knows about what happened to her. Dara tells the boy that they won't bother him if he wants to leave, but for now he should rest and get some sleep. Darwin has a nightmare in which he goes in search of his mother, but is trapped by a drone that scans his brain and demands that he gives up the people he has met. To appease the boy comes Dara. For the first time in years, Darwin manages to take a real shower, though he habitually leaves his clothes on. Dara tells her guest how to wash properly and she offers to help him, but Lillian is confident that the boy can do it himself. After changing into his usual clothes, Darwin is no different from other people. Dara teaches him the usual gestures for answering simple questions, and the boy nods affirmatively, agreeing to stay for a while longer in the camp. Dara begins to spend a lot of time with Darwin. She taught him how to sow seeds, draw in the sand, and finally talk. The boy began to help Lillian around the house by setting the table, and the woman noticed that there was a sympathy between him and Dara. The family's life goes on as usual, and they are not yet aware of the warden's drone circling near the camp. In the afternoon, the family has fun by having a dance. First, Dara teaches her buddy how to waltz, and then Darwin shows his friends moves from his computer games. Walking through the woods, Dara tells Darwin about his father, who has gone to the ocean to start another family and have other children, as is the law. Darwin gets used to living with a family and gets along with all of Lillian's children. But Beth, one of the daughters, fears that when the government goes looking for the boy, their camp will be exposed and everyone will be finished. Lillian reassures her daughter, but she herself realizes that she is taking a risk by taking in a fugitive. Beth speaks of her fears again, and Darwin realizes that she is alluding to him. After learning that Lillian and her family are considered criminals, he guesses that they risk getting caught because of him. Lillian takes the children for a walk in the woods, where Darwin sees the river for the first time and swims in the wild water while playing children's games with the younger ones. Dara takes her buddy to the top of the mountain, and it impresses him greatly too. The girl tells him that in the old days, fathers were not supposed to leave their families to make other children on other continents, and she wishes her man had stayed with her forever too. At the end of the conversation, Dara confesses her love to Darwin, believing that fate has brought them together and the couple have their first kiss. The family returns to camp with songs, but something alarms Stephen, and he asks the sisters to be quiet. The company quietens down, but still leaves a trail of red handkerchief on the road, which is immediately spotted by a drone. Stephen informs the family of the pursuit, and everyone tries to hide behind rocks. Lillian worries most about her young daughter, but luckily the spy flies away without noticing the company. At home, Beth makes a scandal and demands that her mother chase Darwin away because he caused the drones to appear around, but Lillian makes it clear that she will not do that and everyone will just have to hide in the camp for a while. In the evening, Dara goes to her buddy's room and sees that his mattress is empty. The girl finds her buddy in the yard. He admits to her that he is leaving so as not to put his family in danger. In the morning, Lillian and her family see the boy off, but Dara stays inside. Darwin shares with the landlady that he dreams of finding his mother a home just like it, and showing her what it's like to live outside the bunker. Dara finds herself in the woods, and she watches in tears as her first love walks away. Darwin walks through places he already knows, heading toward his mother's bunker. He has to hide from the drones, and upon reaching the machine, he uses the key given to him by Lillian to contact his mother. Finally, the connection request is acknowledged, and the guy asks his mother to open the door for him when he gets to her bunker, urging her to trust him and not ask too many questions. Once at the target, Darwin knocks on the iron door and tells his mother not to worry about the bad air. Whoever is inside replies nothing to the boy, instead sounding the alarm. A drone appears above Darwin. It demands that the resident confirm his identity and explain where he has been all this time. Darwin makes up a theory that he's been in his mother's bunker the whole time. Someone from the government believes the story and asks the resident not to leave the bunker unannounced again. The boy continues to persuade his mother to open the door, and finally the iron barrier goes up. The woman has gone feral over the years and looks warily at her son, who she last saw 9 years ago. After checking his mother's computer, Darwin realizes that she has had no communication with the other residents all this time. He enters his access code and enters the archive, finding camera footage of his journey there. Lillian's family is also on the footage, which means there are no hunters to harm them. Realizing his mother isn't going anywhere, Darwin kisses her on the top of her head and after saying goodbye is about to leave. The woman continues her game, as do thousands of other residents who never knew the government had fallen. The drone descends over Darwin again, but this time the guy refuses to follow the commands of the warden, a young resident boy sitting at a computer in the same bunker. The guy returns to Lillian's camp and sees Dara sitting on the edge of a cliff. He sits down next to her, and the couple realizes that now a new life will begin for them. A new life begins for the whole family after removing the camouflage from the cottage. They burn spruce branches in a huge fire and have fun, no longer fearing that someone will come for them.